The active shooter incident. It's not something anybody ever wants to talk about, but in any business, any school, any place where people gather or work. Good morning, Mike Jones here for the security meeting.
All right.
You need to think about these things because they happen and they're happening with more frequency. So many people are concerned with the active shooter, so we adjust our security tactics and measures through use of what's called CPTED, or Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. Everything from security cameras, from access control with your swipe cards, with locked doors, and you have a design of a doorway which allows for anyone hostile to be kept out. There are so many things behind your desk which you can have, starting with this heavy glass dish.
It is very heavy.
Which is, when you're under stress and you've got that adrenaline rush, it's amazing what you can do for that. One thing that we give a lot of people is bug spray, the type that reaches the second floor nest of the house. That will not kill a person, but will definitely take them out of the action, giving you enough time to escape and call for help. Fire extinguishers, everybody should know how to use those. What stops the person is when that dust hits you,
Right.
and it hurts your eyes. And when you go into that pain response, you really can't even hold your gun.
Okay, so I hear shots in the lobby. What's the first thing I should do?
First thing you do is go into survival mode. You know it's an active shooter, assume it. So go to your door, shut the door, make sure it's locked, get your doorstop out and put it under. Hopefully you've tested that beforehand and it works. If it doesn't work, then what you need to do is use the bolt slide that hopefully is installed on your door. But you do those things first. When you put that bolt slide, then you come back here by your concrete walls and then you wait it out.
Okay, so what about the window? Should I break the window?
Breaking a window is not as easy as everyone thinks. Also use a hammer or anything else like that. But remember, when you break the glass, you're going to attract attention, but usually that is a very last resort measure.
I'm on my way to my last final now.
Great. We'll be there in 30 minutes.
I'm going to start by showing you a film that was produced by the FBI, and it's a reenactment of what an active shooter in a school is really like.
I'll see you soon. I love you.
I teach this from the role of a survivor. Sometimes people, when they think of active shooters, they're going to die. No, I'm here to tell you that you're going to live. I call it survive for 5. Most of these incidents last from 5 to 8 minutes, and then they're over. One of the things that you should keep in mind are 3 words: run, hide, and fight. Under stress, under pressure, you always resort back to how you're trained. When you talk this out, you understand where you're going to go, what you're going to do. Part of the way that you survive is to keep your cool by saying, we've done this before, we've trained for this. If you can't run, if the shooter's too close, hide. Now, hiding means taking the light off your phone and also silencing. If you cannot silence your phone right away, you need to learn how to do it, because light and sound attract predators. If someone would burst in through that door now with a gun, and some of you are going to run this way, some of you are going to run that way, when that shooter comes in, that shooter believes that you're just to sit there and die. They're not expecting you to jump up and throw things at them. The overall thing is, no matter what you do something. And a lady in California who was cleaning up at a church, an active shooter came into the church. She was in a conference room that just had a table and a bunch of trash bags. She got in the bag. She pulled the bag over her head and sat very quietly right beside the other bag of trash. The person came in, looked around, didn't see anything, and left. And the moral of that story is, whatever works for the moment.
We are aware of the situation.
We're currently experiencing a university emergency.
One of the most important takeaways from you, if you have children and they have phones, is that you establish a communication, an emergency communication procedure.
We haven't seen Sarah either.
It's hard to talk to a 12-year-old about going to school and having to run to protect themselves. It's hard to see the aftermath for this.
We experienced an unthinkable tragedy at our high school this morning.
We have 17 confirmed victims.
we can confirm multiple fatalities.
Because of social media and the coverage of all of these mass shootings, the images which are ubiquitous and really hard to get away from, children are really experiencing a huge number of these incidents coming across their view. So the impact of these cannot be ignored any longer. And we have to begin as a society, as parents, as educators and others, to know how to address these with children. It is very important for children to be able to express their feelings, because once the feelings are out, at least then parents know what the child is struggling with. Developmentally, it's very important to keep your child's age in mind. With a very young child, you do not want to load them with too much information, because they do not have the cognitive sophistication to process that information like adults do. With a school-aged child, you really want to know what the kid knows. And once you've heard it from them, really correcting misinformation is very important. Helping them understand that there are safe places, that these are incidents which have occurred, but that your job is to really keep them safe, and you will make every attempt to do so. You have to be able to look at your own anxiety levels. Children really look at parents for role modeling. So if you're falling apart, the child is more likely to fall apart. On the other hand, if you're able to pull yourself together and keep the household routines going as they should be, it gives children a great deal of strength and sort of a path to follow despite what is happening in the world around them. And very importantly, parents need to reduce the exposure of the child to the information again and again and again, because that itself produces trauma of a different kind.
Mom!
Oh my God. Oh my God.
When you are part and parcel of an event such as this, there are a lot of things that go on, such as the survivor guilt, where you feel, why wasn't I taken? Why did this happen to my friend? Which can develop into depression as you go along. Anxiety, in which any loud sound can kind of catapult you into that period, and you may not even know it. And then it produces irritability and anger, and it takes a very insightful person to weave the two together. So there are very long-term impacts for people who are actually within the realm of that event. It is all the post-event work that goes on in the way of taking care of your physical injuries, but also taking care of the mental health needs, which come out as what we call post-traumatic stress disorder.
And soon the day took a dark turn.
I recall my work at the Virginia Tech shooting, where I was the mental health expert for Governor Kane's Blue Ribbon panel. It has reverberated in my soul and my body actually for years and years, and even till today I recall talking to those individuals. So this is what I would call vicarious traumatization, that you don't experience it, but you vicariously experience it through the experience of others. So you can imagine the impact of it on the people who are on the scene. And it has far-reaching public health implications.
It is still a relatively rare situation. It's one that has a high impact because it involves our children. But there's so many things you can do, and the very first thing you can do starts today, is thinking about this. That's why it's so important for you to develop that plan now. Take care. And get with all your family members and say, look, what should we do in the event of an active shooter, and you're there. And there's nothing that will beat you. I can guarantee it that when you get that text that says, Mom, Dad, I'm okay.
For more information on Mike's crime prevention consulting business, go to Facebook and search Major Security Consulting and Design.